Welcome to Match Pack, bringing you all the figures that count ahead of a full weekend of Premier League action. There have been 20 games so far, and 3 teams have a 100% win record. Since the start of the season, we've seen 378 shots on goal, slightly higher than this time last year. There have been celebrations for Wayne Rooney, who's joined Alan Shearer as just the second member of the 200 Goals Club after completing his Premier League double century. And Sergio Aguero is only one from becoming the most prolific non-European goal scorer the competition's ever seen, a record he'll aim to break this weekend.
Liverpool and Arsenal's differing fortunes last weekend means confidence will be coursing through Anfield as the Reds prepare to welcome Arsene Wenger's men on Sunday. Traditionally, this matchup is a blink and you'll miss it affair. This exact fixture is the highest scoring in Premier League history. And 8 of those 80 goals came in April 2009, with Andrei Arshavin scoring all 4 for Arsenal that day. Historically, these two sides are hardly strangers to finding the back of the net. Along with Tottenham Hotspur, they're the only teams who boasted 3 players with 10 Premier League goals or more last season. Those numerous scoring options underpinning each side's productivity.
It's great when you spread the goals around. It's important that you get goals from not just your forward line, your midfield, your defence as well. Liverpool obviously have got a number of players who can get themselves into double figures. What they don't have is maybe someone that gets them 20-plus goals this season, and that's something that I think the manager, Jurgen Klopp, will be looking at.
One man hoping to get close to that 20-goal tally for Liverpool is Roberto Firmino. The Brazilian has excelled as the leading man since joining in 2015, and in his time at Anfield he scored more goals and provided more assists in the Premier League than any of his teammates. The 25-year-old boasts an enviable record against this weekend's opponents too. In 4 league matches against the Gunners, he scored 3 times, and he can't better that record against any other club in the league. But there's a much coveted defensive side to Firmino's game, crucial to Klopp's high-pressing style. A tireless runner, he's won more tackles than any other forward in the top flight since he moved to Merseyside.
I think it's fantastic. He's not an out-and-out centre-forward, and yet that's the position he plays. Jurgen Klopp obviously likes him in that position because he often sets the tempo in terms of closing down. He works so hard, but he's obviously capable of dropping deeper and getting runners in behind him. His all-round play is excellent.
In Olivier Giroud, though, the Gunners possess their own goal threat. On Sunday, the Frenchman could prove crucial against a backline that often struggles in the air. During his time in North London, he scored more headed goals than any other Premier League player. Though the Frenchman now finds himself behind compatriot Alexandre Lacazette in the pecking order, he's also something of a star off the bench. Since the start of last season, Giroud scored the most goals as a substitute in the league.
It's going to be really interesting, actually, at Arsenal, how much Olivier Giroud plays and how happy he is to play second fiddle as well. I think he's hugely underrated. I mean, he's not perhaps the most mobile at times and not the most aesthetically pleasing when you watch him play. But you look at his goal record, and I think that's all you need to look at, really, and that's very impressive. So, yeah, I think he can cause Liverpool some problems, particularly in the air from set pieces.
If Giroud is to make an impact, he'll have to penetrate a Liverpool back line that's kept 5 clean sheets in their last 6 league games, as many as in their previous 21 matches. But one nagging frailty remains. Since the German took over, Liverpool have conceded the 3rd highest percentage of goals from set pieces in the Premier League.
I don't like the zonal marking. It's something that Jurgen Klopp has decided is the best way forward for his Liverpool side. I'm not a fan of it. There's an old saying, space never scored a goal. If you get a man and you're man-to-man with him, if he scores, it's your fault and you hold your hands up. So I've got to say zonal marking, I'm not a fan of.
Despite recording their highest possession figure since records began, the Gunners couldn't avoid defeat to Stoke City last time out. But the possible return of Alexis Sanchez might see them rediscover their potency on Sunday.
I think it's a fascinating game. I think it's 2 teams that are probably better going forward than they are defensively, so I'd expect goals in the game. With it being at Anfield, I'd make Liverpool slight favourites.
After a stuttering start, business as usual for Chelsea last time out. A late winner from Marcus Alonso earned the Blues all 3 points against London rivals Tottenham Hotspur. Meanwhile, Everton's Wayne Rooney has been in the headlines, hitting his 200th Premier League goal in the draw at Manchester City before announcing his retirement from international football. Chelsea's formidable home record means this is sure to be a tricky challenge for the Merseyside club. Antonio Conte's men may have lost their opening game to Burnley, but under the Italian they have an 85% success rate at Stamford Bridge, and he's yet to see them lose a league fixture in which they've led at half-time. Everton boss Ronald Koeman comes with his own impressive managerial record. He's won 47% of his Premier League games. That only includes one victory over Chelsea, but maybe new club record signing Gylfi Sigurdsson will help tip the balance this time.
I've been very impressed with Ronald Koeman. Off the field, the signings he's made and the way he's gone about getting better players into the team. He's not been put off by having to pay big money for players. He's backed his judgment, and on the field he's really started to shore up the team defensively, giving a great defensive balance and unit, and he's happy to go and win games 1-0, and once he gets his goal, shore it up, and he's got a real ruthlessness to him that you need as a manager.
Everton should certainly be able to improve on last season's showing at Stamford Bridge. They spent most of the match penned in their own half and didn't manage a single shot on target. A dominant 5-0 win for the eventual Premier League champions. So Koeman & co could see this trip to Chelsea as a good way to gauge their recent progress.
To celebrate his achievements, our match-pack question this week is all about Wayne Rooney. We're asking, against which team did he score his 100th Premier League goal? Keep watching, we'll bring you the answer later in the show.
Slaven Bilic finds his West Ham United team bottom after a second straight defeat. A similar story for Newcastle United. Beaten by Huddersfield Town, then knocked out of the League Cup in midweek. They're winless in their opening 3 games for the first time since 1999. United fans looking for hope can take heart from Rafa Benitez's history. In the Premier League, his impressive win rate on home soil is almost 67%. In fact, of all the managers who've overseen 100 or more home matches in the competition, the Spaniard's record is only surpassed by Sir Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho and Arsene Wenger.
In terms of the best man at the helm, Newcastle United might not have a better manager in the Premier League for the next 20 years. He's that good, Rafa. There's still a little bit of time in the window, so they might get 1 or 2 players in. But in terms of having the best manager at the helm, Rafa's the man for Newcastle United fans.
In the opposite dugout, Bilic will be equally desperate for points. He's in his 3rd year in England's top division, but has seen the Hammers' form fall away since his first season in charge. Of the teams ever present in the top flight throughout the Croatian's reign, only West Bromwich Albion and Stoke City have on average been less accurate in front of goal.
He's confident in his own ability, he's confident that he signed the right players in the window in the summer. If West Ham can start scoring goals, which they need to do, I'm confident Slaven, and I think he's confident in himself and in his squad that he'll turn things around.
The race is still on to be Newcastle's first league scorer since promotion, so Dwight Gale will be keen to get his teeth into West Ham. Throughout his time in the Premier League, the striker's fared best in front of goal when he's been in the lineup from the start, rather than coming off the bench. Good ammunition if he wants to make a case to Benitez that he's the right man to lead the line.
If he gets double figures for a striker in the Premier League, a newly promoted team like Newcastle United, I think that would go a long way to maybe keeping Newcastle United in the division.
The forward that might worry Newcastle most is Chicharito, who scored 3 times in his last 4 starts against them with former club Manchester United. Overall in the Premier League, the Mexican's goals per minute ratio is up there with the very best. Every single one of those successful efforts from inside the penalty area. Back in England from the Bundesliga, he netted twice last weekend.
Even in Germany at Leverkusen, he was still scoring goals, and it's what he does. You know, even if he hasn't got his numbers, he still leads from the front. He still runs channels. He's still a pest for centre half. So I'm confident he'll get more than 15 goals this season if he gets the service.
Michail Antonio is another key figure when West Ham are on the attack. Since his move into the Premier League 2 seasons ago, the winger's worked his way into England contention, and his return from a recent injury should be a huge boost to the Hammers. Their win percentage has been almost 15% higher when Antonio's in the team.
I think the best features about Mikel Antonio is that he's a dream for Slaven Bilic and he's a dream for the West Ham fans to watch, and because he always puts a shift in. He's got quality, he's got pace and power, he's physically very, very strong.
Leon Best was the star of the show when these two teams met 7 seasons ago. He followed that opening goal for Newcastle with a second as the West Ham defence disintegrated. Kevin Nolan made it 3 before Best completed his only Premier League hat-trick in style. Newcastle's 5-0 victory was their biggest over West Ham in the Premier League, and the Londoners went on to be relegated. St James's Park hasn't been a happy hunting ground for the Hammers. They've won just once there in 19 years. With both managers in need of a good result to kickstart the season, this promises to be a hard-fought affair on Tyneside.
West Ham's away form in terms of being at St James's Park was too clever over the years, always been a hard place to go. I'd probably predict, it's not sitting on the bench, but I think it might be a score draw, 2-2.
2 games in and Manchester United are sitting pretty at the top of the table. With successive 4-0 victories, they've scored 4 or more in the opening 2 league matches of a season for the first time in 110 years. This weekend they host the Leicester City side, whose win against Brighton and Hove Albion gave them the first clean sheet in 5 games and a first Foxes goal for Harry Maguire. Leicester will face a stern test on Saturday against an informed Paul Pogba. United enjoy a much better win ratio when Pogba's in the starting lineup. And having scored his 3rd goal in as many league appearances at Swansea last weekend, he's beginning to show his worth.
I think the price tag he came with last year was a bit of a weight on his shoulders, and I still feel he played well last season. I do. I think he showed the qualities he's had, but when you've got a £90 million price tag on your head, people expect more, and I think that's what happened with him last season. I think going into this season, you know, the transfer record in Neymar has been smashed, and it just takes that weight off his shoulders. Plus, Matic playing alongside him, giving him real licence to go forward. We'll start to see the Pogba that we saw playing for Juventus, and we'll start to see that regular for Manchester United.
Their opponents also have a goal scorer in their ranks. Shinji Okazaki has scored in consecutive Premier League appearances for the first time, with both goals coming in the opening 5 minutes of the games. Jose Mourinho's side will be wary of his recent dynamic starts. Leicester's last Premier League win over United made history. Having been 3-1 down, David Nugent's penalty proved the turning point. Esteban Cambiasso then equalised before Jamie Vardy and Aleo Ulloa penalty secured a 5-3 win. It was the first time United lost a Premier League game, having led by 2 goals.
Two wins from their first 2 Premier League games. The dream start for Huddersfield Town continues. Head coach David Wagner has a fresh and enthusiastic squad. He's named 2 of the 4 youngest starting lineups in the Premier League so far this season, and has players like Aaron Moy coming into their prime. The Australian's first ever top-flight goal was a beauty, and enough to see off fellow newly promoted side Newcastle United. Excluding the inaugural season of the Premier League in 1992-93, Huddersfield are the first club to win their opening 2 games in the competition. They're also only the second newly promoted side to keep a clean sheet in their first 2 Premier League matches. This weekend they'll want to keep a close eye on Oriol Romeu if he lines up for opponents Southampton. The Spaniard's already successfully completed 160 passes in just 2 league games, the 3rd highest number any midfielder's managed so far this season. 90 of those came in Southampton's first victory, the 3-2 win over West Ham United, which gave new manager Mauricio Pellegrino 3 points for the first time. Some of the shine was taken off that when Saints crashed out of a League Cup in midweek at home to Championship side Wolverhampton Wanderers. But it will be a much-changed lineup that steps out in Huddersfield, aiming to get back on track in Southampton's first away fixture of the campaign.
For Stoke City and new signing Jesse Rodriguez, Saturday was a day to remember. The Potters bounced back from an opening weekend defeat with victory over Arsenal at the Bet365 Stadium. Jesse's debut strike ensured the Potters maintain their excellent home record against the Gunners. Now they face West Bromwich Albion, who themselves couldn't have wished for a better start to the season. Tony Pulis' side have opened their campaign with 2 wins from 2 in the league, the first time they've done so in the top flight since 1978. And this is a fixture Pulis has enjoyed. Since taking charge in 2015, West Brom have beaten Stoke on every occasion, while Stoke's first 4 Premier League wins at the Hawthorns all came when Pulis was their manager. After Darren Fletcher's moved to the Potters, Pulis has drafted in the ideal replacement, Gareth Barry. Still fighting fit at 36, he sits just 3 appearances shy of Ryan Giggs' all-time Premier League record of 632. The former England international also boasts the impressive feat of 15 straight Premier League campaigns with over 30 appearances in each, dating back to the 2002-03 season.
When players do reach the end of their career, I'm not saying Gareth isn't finished just yet, but at 36, again, you wouldn't be able to play for as long as he has if he wasn't a great professional and a great player. And knowing him personally, it would be a great achievement for him if he does reach that. And as I said, West Brom are getting a very professional individual and a very quality player.
Barry and Fletcher look set to face off in the middle of the park on Sunday in what could be a real battle of the ages. While it's Pulis' new recruit who boasts the more appearances, the Scot has more Premier League success, a superior win percentage, along with 5 Premier League titles in his time with Manchester United.
He's a very accomplished footballer. Again, probably an unsung hero that people like to say about him, but his footballing brain and his knowledge is up there with the highest. You don't play at Man United for as long as he did if you haven't got that knack and ability. So I'm sure that is the reason why Mark Hughes has brought him in.
One player key to the Baggies' fortunes this season could be the man who's made the most Premier League appearances for the club. Chris Brunt has provided 14 assists directly from dead ball scenarios in the competition over the last 3 seasons. That's more than any other player during this period. And when Brunt was in the starting lineup for league games last season, Pulis' side averaged 1.3 points per game, as opposed to 0.9 when he didn't start.
He's important to West Brom. I think that obviously the stats and the points speak for themselves. Chris is a great player and a great leader. I know he's not the captain anymore, but that won't diminish his responsibilities in that team and in that squad. He trains hard every day and he gives his all in every game, and it proves and it shows when he does play, they pick up more points.
For the Potters, goals on the road have been hard to come by. Mark Hughes' men have scored just 6 Premier League away goals since the turn of the year. That's the worst of any team in the league, excluding the promoted clubs. They have also failed to score in 7 of their last 9 away games, registering just the 1 win on the road in that time. And it was that late season form that resulted in Stoke's worst league finish since 2013, something Hughes will be keen to rectify this time around.
I'm sure he believes Stoke can be very serious contenders in the top 10. And they've got the players to do so. It's just all obviously sinking together and being consistent. I think if they was to finish 13th and maybe get to a semi-final or final of a cup, then it'd be an achieving season for Stoke.
August, a month Tottenham Hotspur forward Harry Kane could be longing to see the back of. Since his Premier League debut in August 2012, Kane has failed to score in the 12 league games he's featured in during this particular month, despite having 34 shots. This match against Burnley offers his final chance to break that duck without having to wait another year. Spurs' 19-game unbeaten home run came to an end on Sunday, not the christening they wanted at their temporary home Wembley Stadium. Chelsea becoming the first away team to beat Tottenham since May 2016. Since then, Mauricio Pochettino has added defensive reinforcements in the shape of Davinson Sanchez, a club record signing from Ajax. Opponents Burnley were also beaten last time out, a big disappointment in the wake of their stunning start away to the champions. Sean Dyche will be annoyed by the number of chances going astray. The Clarets have had 30 shots since the start of the season, their highest ever tally at this stage of a competition, but only 5 hit the target. They'll hope the arrival of the Championship's top goalscorer last season, Chris Wood from Leeds United, will make them much more potent up front. Losing to West Bromwich Albion at Turf Moor was a blow, but there was still huge significance to that opening success at Stamford Bridge. It means Burnley have already matched last season's solitary away success. The
concession of goals is a concern for Bournemouth manager Eddie Howe. Since their promotion to the Premier League in 2015, they've shipped 137, the highest such tally in the top flight during that time. While in 2017 alone, that poor defensive record means they've managed to keep just 4 clean sheets. That's fewer than any other ever-present Premier League side in that time. Having failed to score in consecutive Premier League games for the first time since October 2016, it's been an unhappy start to their campaign, dropping 1 place to 16th. For the 3rd consecutive year, the Cherries have started the season with back-to-back league defeats. They've still only ever won 1 Premier League match in August in 9 attempts since their promotion. However, overcoming Manchester City could prove tricky, especially with Raheem Sterling in the side. The forward has scored 5 Premier League goals against the Cherries, more than versus any other club in the competition. While his goal on Monday evening against Everton means the citizens have failed to find the net in just 1 of their last 13 Premier League games, scoring 30 goals in the process. Despite Sterling's efforts, City came away with just a point, and the result sees Pep Guardiola's side drop 2 places to 5th. But that late equaliser means they've avoided only their 2nd home defeat under the Spaniard. And on Saturday they face a Bournemouth side who've never beaten them on a ground where City have never conceded.
Crystal Palace's wait for their first Premier League points of the new season continues. Following the 1-0 loss to Liverpool last Saturday, the South London club are left languishing near the bottom of the table. Swansea City head to Selhurst Park also smarting from a defeat, having gone down heavily at home to Manchester United, 4-0. If Palace are to get their campaign up and running, they'll need to improve on their dismal attacking efforts. In 2017, the Eagles have failed to convert 87% of their shots, a weakness that's surely high on new manager Frank de Boer's list of problems to address. If he plays, Swansea defender Alfie Mawson may even show them how the scoring should be done. As well as an impressive 85% tackle success rate, he's netted 4 goals, one of the top 5 highest scoring defenders since his Premier League debut last year. Palace play host this weekend, but their visit to the Liberty Stadium in 2016 was one of last season's most memorable games. Swansea had the advantage before the Eagles fought back to lead 4-3. That extraordinary turnaround followed by another in the closing minutes, with substitute Fernando Llorente netting twice to snatch the points for the Swans.
Earlier we asked you which team Wayne Rooney scored his 100th Premier League goal against. The answer? Arsenal, back in January 2010, when he scored the 2nd goal in Manchester United's 3-1 win to reach his century.
Following in the footsteps of his fellow countryman, Watford's summer signing Richarlison has certainly made his mark. He became the 43rd Brazilian to score in the Premier League with his goal in the Hornets' 2-0 win over Bournemouth. At the other end, his compatriot Aurelio Gomes has now notched up 78 Premier League games since 2015-16, keeping 18 clean sheets in that time. The latest came in that victory at the Vitality Stadium, which brought an end to Watford's run of 7 Premier League games without a victory and moved them up to 4th in the early league table. On the downside, Marco Silva's men were knocked out of the League Cup in midweek by Championship club Bristol City and must now regain their focus to face Brighton and Hove Albion. The South Coast club have lost both league games since promotion, but it's not for want of trying. In those opening 2 matches, the players covered 221 kilometres, the most of the newly promoted sides. Now they need to start turning that effort into points, but a lack of punch up front has posed a problem. Including last season, the Seagulls have failed to score in 4 of their last 5 league games. Chris Hughton has been busy in the transfer market trying to address that and is experienced enough to know his players may take time to adjust to the step up in standard. Even if they suffer another defeat at Vicarage Road, there's no need for panic. Southampton were the last side to lose their first 3 games of a Premier League campaign back in 2012-13, and they went on to finish 14th.
Bournemouth against Manchester City kicks off the action on Saturday, one of 6 Premier League games taking place, including early league leaders Manchester United's match with Leicester. And there are 4 more games on Sunday as Chelsea welcome Everton to Stamford Bridge while Liverpool play Arsenal. We end with a man who's been in the news all week, a milestone goal and an international goodbye. Wayne Rooney's first Premier League strike came as a 16-year-old to end Arsenal's 30-game unbeaten run. His 200th saw him join Alan Shearer in a hitherto unique club. 183 of those goals were scored during his time at Manchester United, a club record that's unlikely to be broken for some time. A perpetrator of the spectacular, the significant and the sensational, with his early season form promising many more to come. From Dave Beckett, me, Jim Prafford and the rest of the team, it's goodbye.